I'm going to make a statement on behalf of the City Council, and I think I probably speak for most of the elected officials in Marietta. A lot of us are connected to the oil and gas industry. We have profited and like to support the oil and gas industry in this community. I don't think that there's any argument. We also understand that the oil and gas industry creates waste, and that waste needs to be disposed of. But I think what we're determining is that, in learning recently, is that there are proper ways to dispose of waste that don't put communities unnecessarily at risk. So when I first heard about this issue, I mean, we always, known that there were 3 injection wells placed in about 2016 in the close vicinity to the Career Center. In fact, the 1,500 feet directly behind the Career Center, without notice to Dennis Blatt or anybody involved, those were placed there. And then there was a 4th injection well put at the corner of at the intersection of 550. That's American Growers 1. So we just started learning about this. The City Council heard about it earlier this month. Maybe there was a meeting in May. I heard about it for the first time July 8th. And that meeting, I take exception. You said what Marietta Council just did was outrageous. Well, my point, that was a committee meeting. That wasn't a public meeting. It was not advertised in the newspaper. And it was a committee of the whole meeting, a formal meeting where you stand up and take attendance and do the Pledge of Allegiance. And the purpose of that meeting was merely to educate the City Council because of issues and concerns regarding potential risks to our community from injection wells. Deep Rock did send their attorney, Ms. Laura Goins from Goodwin & Goodwin out of Charleston. So she spoke. I invited 3 individuals from Ohio EPA, because I don't want to hear just from Buckeye Environmental. I want to learn all sides, and that was the point of this. And there was nothing outrageous about that meeting. And if anybody's curious about it, you can go on the MariettaOhio.net site and go to the City Council and the meetings and click on it. And there's actually, it lasted from 5:30 to 8:30. There's 2 90-minute audio files, and you can listen to the entire meeting. I invited more than 12 individuals. I had invited 3 individuals from ODNR, none of whom attended. I invited the owners of, I guess Ms. Chavez has an ownership interest in Deep Rock. However, the owner is actually Comtech Industries, I believe, out of Pennsylvania. So I don't know exactly how that happened, but it's my understanding you no longer own Deep Rock, but there's an ownership interest, I suspect, through Comtech. But so your Deep Rock attorney was invited, ODNR was invited, individuals out of Ohio EPA were invited. I had 2 petroleum engineers attend. Those persons make their entire life and living from the oil and gas industry in this community. I had a licensed geologist from a licensed PhD geologist attend. I had all the water superintendents invited, and superintendents of the water systems did attend from Marietta and Warren. I invited all the county commissioners. I had Jamie Booth attend. I invited Kevin Ritter. So in any case, out of all the individuals invited, which I think was a fairly fair representation of individuals that might care about the oil and gas industry and might care about the health and welfare of our community, I had 10 individuals attend, including Mr. Fryman to your left. And we went through and allowed individuals to speak, starting with Jamie Booth and followed by Mr. Fryman, followed by your attorney, followed by water superintendents and petroleum engineers and whatnot. It went on for 3 hours, and it was very, very informative. I hate to have you point fingers and say that I've done something outrageous with my meeting when it was 3 hours of educating the City Council so that we might be able to make decisions that are in the benefit of this community. And when you indicate that there's nothing wrong with what's going on with these injection wells, I'd like to point out 4 injection wells within 1.3 and 1.8 miles of 4 water aquifers. These aren't reservoirs where if you dump a brine truck over, like happened in Barnesville in 2016, that it clears in 3 weeks and you connect it to the community. These aquifers are a situation, if they ever get infiltrated, they will be ruined potentially. And that's a problem. So we have to be very protective, and that's why there's source water protection areas. But our source water protection areas, Putnam's and Warren's and Williamstown, actually Williamstown is the closest by about 2,000 or 3,000 feet to your American Growers One well. This is a concern, especially when you consider the volume that you are permitted under the old rules to inject under our feet. You're injected per well, you're permitted to inject per well under our feet 5,000 barrels a day. And you are not, and that's put times 4. So we've got 20,000 barrels a day potential. I don't know what you're actually doing, because I know that you've got 5,100 barrels a day and 10 rail cars coming on the Cathcart rail. I don't know what the other things are. I'd like to find that out, and if you'd like to communicate with me, that would be wonderful. But we've got up to 20,000 barrels a day in the hills just outside of our city being injected into the ground. And this would be fine, right? If what ODNR says is in fact true, in that there is never any migration and never any problems with these wells. But we are learning that that is not the case. Ohio has over 200 injection wells, and out of those 200 plus, it's over 220 or so, out of those 200 plus injection wells, 6 of them have been shut down with orders from the chief, Eric Vendel. Eric Vendel has stated in his chief's orders that these wells, the 6 wells, 4 in Athens County and 2 in Noble County belonging to Deep Rock, posed an imminent threat to the water, the surface water, the subsurface water, and the lengthy language about how dangerous they were. So dangerous that he shut them down. And we have similar situations here with American Growers One and Redbird and another well in Belpre. Arrowhead, I believe it is. And so we are right to be concerned, because once the harm occurs, it really can't be undone. And I have uncovered, there's information showing from the American Growers One well that we do need to be very concerned about what's happened. That well began in about 2019. You may correct me, you would know better than I would. In about 2019, and it injected around 4,000 feet. And within less than a year of it injecting, it infiltrated a well called Chris Marr number 5, about 900 to 1,000 feet from American Growers One. Chris Marr number 5 had no pressure on it, and then within a short time after your well started injecting frac fluid, and I know Jerry James will say this frac fluid is, you can baste your turkey in it, and Flight Fryman will tell you that it's filtered so many times that you might as well dump it back in the ocean. Well, then why, if that is in fact the case and it's not dangerous, why are we dumping it 6,000 feet under the ground at great expense? So that your American Growers number 1 well began within a year migrating to the Chris Marr number 5 well. The Chris Marr number 5 well pressurized up to close to 400 psi, and immediately ODNR was called. They went out and did a test, and it was high in chloride, showing that it had migrated fluids that were foreign and not local Berea. So, and you can shake your head no, and it also happened to the Eisner well, owned by Deep Rock, approximately 1,000 feet behind. And the reason why the council cares is that you are now applying for not 1, not 2, but 3 new wells. 2 Class 2 wells and a Class 1 well, another 15,000 barrels a day is what you're asking for. So in close vicinity to our city and our aquifers. And so this is something that we do need to be concerned about. And the comment period for the Stephan 1 well expires this Friday. So that's why the council needed to address this and understand what is going on, because if we don't do anything and this well goes forward and something bad happens, this community, if we lose our water, the community is destroyed. So it may be prospective harm, but if it's a 1% chance it'll be bad, or a 5% chance, or a 10% chance it'll go bad in the next 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. I want my grandchildren to be able to live here. And if we sit by and just allow you to eject 35,000 barrels a day, 6,000 feet from our aquifer, something bad's going to happen. And also, ODNR, the reason why the 6 wells out of the 200 wells in Washington County are the ones that have gone bad, well, Washington, Athens, and Noble County, as my geologist explained, and you can listen to that if you want, the reason why those wells went bad is because our geology here is different than it is in the rest of Ohio. As he explained, the geology is such that we were on the edge of an ocean 4 to 300 to 400 million years ago. And on the edge of the ocean, the layers went down in uneven manners. So when they say that when you eject it down below 5,000 and 6,000 feet that it's capped, it really isn't capped because it's coming up, as indicated by the Chris Marr well and several other wells in this area. And I'm not even started talking about what's happened to Bob Wilson and Bob Lane and their oil and gas wells in the proximity to the Redbird wells out in the western part of the county. So it is something that's dangerous. It is something that we should be concerned about.